We have Jennifer Taylor joining me here for Mad Max Radio, Live 365, iHeartRadio. One of the greats here. You might know her from Chelsea, Two and a Half Men, The Waterboy, Wild Things, Saved by Grace, Shameless. She's done a lot of work. Twisted Twin, Lifetime films, Unfaithful. She's done her own work as well. Welcome to the show. How's everything going, Jennifer?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How's your 2025 going so far, especially in the world of film?
It started off a little rough, but I think it's looking up.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So, are you currently working on your own scripts and things like that? Because I did want to get into Unfaithful. So, are you working on your own things?
I am. I'm working on a couple of different things, kind of trying to balance acting and learning how to produce also, as well as writing. So, just kind of trying to just stay creative.
hmm I remember when doing my research on you, Sprawl was one of those roles that you enjoyed playing, and it reaffirmed your love for acting. Why was it that role that reaffirmed it?
It did. It was interesting because like right before that, I was doing sitcom Two and a Half Men, and I loved it. Um, but I had never done like a low budget film before. And I didn't know because like my first film was Wild Things. It was a big budget. And it was just such a good experience, like just having a single camera and the intimacy of it. And everybody is just all hands on deck on a smaller production. And it was a really great experience.
Yeah, and it definitely brought you back to where and it keeps you into the game as well because then you get into the independent films. Do you prefer being in independent films more than the big time ones?
It's funny. I like both. Obviously, the big time films pay more money. But there's just something about being on a film like time is money. So you have only 14 days sometimes to film these indie films. You're doing 15 pages a day as opposed to 3 pages a day on a big budget. And everybody they make magic happen with very little. So I like it just because it's just every single person counts and they all bring their A game.
They do, especially because I think it's a lot of it comes from a place of passion and a little bit more freedom. Because I know with Two and a Half Men, they were strict on that set with lines and improv.
Yes.
They wanted things right to the T.
Yeah, which I understand. I mean, I'm not going to make it better than they can write it. They know what they're doing. But yeah, on a say you have somebody on a really big budget, yes, they have all the money and they have all the time and they can make great things happen. But then you have somebody who doesn't have a lot of time or money, and the things that they can make happen under pressure is amazing. And I enjoy being a part of that.
Absolutely, and it shows in your work, especially when we take things back. Because you're originally from Hoboken, New Jersey. So do you miss New Jersey at all? You're down in Florida.
I mean, I was born there and I grew up there till I was like 10. So, my dad and grandparents, they came over from Italy. So it was like a little Italian neighborhood then. And, we had all our cousins. And then we moved to Florida. And then from Florida, that's when we came out to California. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know New Jersey that much, except for as a kid, I know it's different. But I still get back once in a while because like my dad still lives there and a
Okay,
lot of my cousins.
still have family there, but
Yeah.
Florida's the weather's nice, especially when you're out in LA. Weather's nice. You got to be in a warm weather place.
Yeah, they're comparable.
Yeah. So you get out to Miami with Florida and everything, but it really kind of sparked you when you were in second grade. You went to this Broadway play. Was it Annie that you went to?
Yeah.
Yeah. How come it took you a little bit longer to really dive into acting? Because modeling was the first thing that you started doing.
Well, it was. I mean, you have to understand, like I'm the first person in my family to venture into this
Oh.
business. My dad was a grocery store manager. Like there is no, what do you mean you're going to be an actress? So seeing that on stage, I was like, oh, I want to do that. But I literally had no idea how to do that. And then I remember like I would enter some contests and then I was able to start modeling and I was like, okay, well, here's a way to get into it. So I just kind of backdoored into it.
And it worked. You started going out there getting in these contests. The first one, I heard that you got in, but you didn't win the first one. There was a story I was learning about with a limo that came outside your house. So
Oh
was
my
it?
gosh, I was like 14 or 15. What was it? It was like Elite Look of the Year, and it was in Miami. And I didn't drive, I didn't have a car, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. And so I'm like, well, I need a ride there. And so I called, like, went to the Yellow Pages because, I'm old enough, we had Yellow Pages. And I look, and out comes a stretch limo. And I'm like, oh my gosh. All right, well, I guess I'm going. So I took a limo down to the contest. I did not do well at all. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And then took a limo back. Very humbling experience.
But you eventually you went home. I think that's something that really when me learn about your journey, I think it was the fact that you went home and re-entered into a different contest. It's the fact that you got back up that a lot of people they don't do it. Once they fall, they stay there and they don't keep going.
I don't really have a problem failing.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
that's a good thing.
I'm stubborn like that. I'll keep on trying.
You got to, especially in the entertainment industry, you got to keep going, and that's what you did with the limo thing as well. Was it that it was just your parents were busy with work, or were you kind of afraid to let your parents know that you were going into
My parents
entertainment?
were divorced. I
Okay,
didn't, and at that time I wasn't speaking with my father. That was all on me. And my mom's a single mom with two kids. Like, she doesn't have time for this. We didn't have a lot of money, so but
okay.
I always worked, so I just saved my money and did it on my own. And I tend to do things and then just ask for forgiveness later.
You got to, especially when going to the second contest, this would pay out well for you because you were the first runner up this time.
Oh, that yeah, I did Miss Florida.
Hmm.
Well, I did a contest after that. It was like a small local one that I actually won, and that would kind of help me get into modeling. And then I had a friend who she did beauty pageants, and I'm like, yeah, it's not really my thing. And so she encouraged me to do it, and I was like, okay. So I did it, and then the first year I got third runner up in Miss Florida USA, and it was a great experience. Like, it's not me, but it was really great. I met wonderful women there. I learned a lot. And then the next year, I think I did it and I got first runner up.
Okay.
So, and I was actually really happy that I didn't win.
Because then you were able to get into the acting space then
Well,
too.
yeah, I was engaged.
Mhm.
So if I was Miss Florida USA, I would have had to postpone my wedding. And then that's when I also was doing Wild Things at the same time. Like, so I went on the path that I was supposed to.
And it worked out because Wild Things, that was the first big film that you got into, the first film that you got into. So how was
Yeah.
that process of getting involved with that film, the audition, playing Matt Dillon's girlfriend?
It was great. I remember there was only a few of us auditioning for it, and I remember because it was my first like real acting job. I'd done commercials before, but it was my first one, and um I remember I felt like throwing up in the audition. I was like, when I'm in waiting in the hallway, and I was like, I didn't pretend that I wasn't nervous, and then the nervousness went away. So that was kind of my first lesson, like in auditioning, like, okay, stop pretending that you're not nervous, just be okay with it, and you'll be fine.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and then I booked that, and it was a great experience just because all of the actors on that, like, you're talking Robert Wagner and Kevin Bacon and Bill Murray, and like these huge actors that I got to sit and watch and learn. It was great.
It definitely. Who was someone? Because we're gonna get into your other roles, but who was someone that you really learned from the most out of your career? Because Charlie Sheen was really on cue with the lines. He always
Oh
knew his
yeah.
lines. Of course. Who was someone that you really learned from?
I don't know. I think you learn something from everyone.
Mhm.
But I think all of those actors on Wild Things, they had just such an amazing work ethic, and just hearing them talk about, like, somebody's sick, so what? You go, you work, there was no excuses, and that really stuck with me.
Oof. Yeah, you gotta work because you could lose your spot. You gotta keep going. Yeah, it'll be a
Yeah.
little bit of an asterisk next to you if you
Well,
don't
I
show
mean,
up. Yeah.
when you start a movie or any production, it's like a freight train. Once it
Mhm.
starts moving, it's not stopping. It
Yeah,
just goes and you just have to hang on.
exactly. Especially too, because when you were doing this movie, you mentioned the commercials. What were some of those commercials that you did?
Oh gosh. I
Oh, there's a
used
lot.
to I used to do a lot of commercials. One I remember I think it was a Pampers or Huggies. I'm not really sure, but it was, I'm like 19 or 20 and I'm like playing a mom. And I remember because it was a nice national commercial, but they got a hand model for me because I just don't have the nicest hands. And I was like, a hand model? But yeah, I've done a lot of commercials. Not a lot in the last like I don't know 10, 15 years, but I used to do a lot, especially in Florida. In Miami it was like a really big commercial location town.
Is it still like that out there?
I don't
I don't know.
know. um uh you know it got really big and really commercial, and like a lot of location places, they get popular and then you raise your rates and then people go elsewhere. So I hope that it's come back. I'm not really sure. I know I did Burn Notice, and Burn Notice was there for a lot of years down in Miami. But yeah, hopefully they'll get more.
Hopefully. Where would you say is the hot spot now? Because I always like to gauge with actors that come on my show where it is, because now we're in the virtual age, everything's digital. Atlanta has expanded to somewhere where a lot of people go for film, Canada, overseas, especially someone who loves doing independent films as well. Where's kind of the hot spot, or is it kind of just all over?
Everywhere but here in
Wow.
California. Let's see, like in December, I did a movie in Rhode Island. Like I've done two in Rhode Island. I did one in Indiana, one in Kentucky, uh, Tennessee, where Arkansas. Like I've been working everywhere but Los Angeles.
Wow. That's it. Especially, do you see kind of like an impact with the fires that recently happened as well?
Well,
Like that's a
yeah, and
big thing.
I think that's why
Mhm.
2025 has started off so slow. Like that really took a lot of wind out of everyone's sails here. I mean, January felt like it lasted 6 months. It was a long month. So yeah, hopefully now people are just kind of getting their bearings back. I know so many people they lost everything. So it's kind of hard to, think about doing a film when you're focusing on that.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of more. It's unfortunate, but there's a lot of more important things that they have to worry about: getting their
Yeah.
families back in order and getting their house and their lives together again.
Yeah.
Which is it's a scary situation. With the modeling and everything, did you try to get into Star Search since that was something you watched when you were younger?
Uh,
Did you try?
yeah, it's funny because like back then, I didn't have computers, or I think you have to like video yourself and like mail it in a VHS tape. Um, I don't remember if I actually got one in or not, but I was never on that. But I remember watching that all the time and like, oh, I could do the spokes model part.
Yeah, it's such an impactful show because it ended in the early 2000s. So it's something that only certain generations remember up to a certain
Yeah,
point. Now it's
Gen
now it's the
X.
TikTok show off, YouTube show off.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. When we look at everything, because you go from that big film down in Florida, we got that. What about The Waterboy? How did you get into that film? Because that was the second one after Wild
Yeah,
Things.
that was because we still lived in Florida at that point. And yeah, that was my second film. That was in Orlando. I was only on that for like 3 days. But it was great. I mean, I remember like really admiring Adam Sandler, like, because he keeps all the same guys in all of his films. And I was like, I really like that. And it always stuck. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to have my people in all my films.
It's like your
Maybe
own
one day I'll
family
get
film
there.
crew.
Huh?
It's like your own family film crew.
Yeah, but even all the actors, like
Mhm.
all of his, like you see all the same guys playing different roles, and I just think it's great. Yeah, he was kind of quiet. I didn't really get to talk to him much except when we were in the scenes, but it was another really great set.
Henry Winkler was on there. You got some big
Yes.
ones.
Yep, I saw you interviewed Henry
Yeah,
Winkler.
I did. Yeah, he's a great guy. He really is someone that was on my show. Yeah, he's definitely one of the legends of Hollywood.
Oh
Happy
yeah.
Days and everything. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't get starstruck. That's the main thing too that I learned about you. Not a starstruck person, but people do. After Two and a Half Men, I was learned about then you had the people coming up to you in the stores and all that.
Yeah, that was always weird. It's funny and it still surprises me because I don't get starstruck. But I have to tell you, and you'll probably be the only but one that I've told this. I got starstruck for the first time in Kentucky. I was doing a movie in Kentucky, and so working with great actors and production. We all went out to dinner, and one of the actors is Sean Patrick Flannery, and
Okay.
I don't, I don't IMDb people. I don't look anybody up. If you didn't tell me what you did, or then I don't know. And so we're all sitting there and just talking like we'd already been working for a few days and got along great. And somebody mentioned that he was powder. And I literally I stopped talking and I said, "You're powder?" I almost started crying. I was like, I love that movie. That was one of my favorite movies. And I'm eating a steak with powder.
Oh boy,
So yeah, I was a little starstruck there.
that is like a unique movie from the night. Yeah, I remember that. And then he gets electrocuted at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah,
Oh, it's so good.
it is. Jeff Goldblum's in it. You got some great
Yep.
actors in there too. Yeah, that's another great '90s film. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was also in Boondock Saints. He's done a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's done a lot. Great guy. But that was really my first true, I was really starstruck. In hindsight, I wasn't starstruck working with him until I found out he was powder.
Until he was powder. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's an amazing story right there. Especially when you're on the set of the Waterboy. So when did you really set out to get to LA after being in Miami? Because you did this soap opera too, Miami Sands.
Yeah. So my plan was to come to LA when I was like 17 years old. And that's when I started working in a bar because I needed money. I was going to get out here. And that didn't happen, which is good because I knew nothing. But the plan was always to come out to LA. But after I met my husband when I was 17, you know, went to school, got our lives together. So he was studying to be an electrician. So we were going to wait until after he did his apprenticeship program. So when he became a journeyman, that's when we were going. So that happened. That was 2 years after was after Wild Things. So
Hmm.
we came out to LA in 99. And
Okay.
yeah, so that was always the plan was always to go there. I did Miami Sands in Miami, but it was 110 episodes, which was great because it taught me how to work really fast. And we did 2 episodes a day. Like
That's a
it was a
lot.
lot. It was a lot of lines, but it was a great group of people. Yeah, and it taught me how to work quickly.
Mhm. And it helped you out, especially when getting the Two and a Half Men. And how many trips did your husband make you go to Vegas? I was learning about this story.
Yeah, he would every time. That's the thing. The first time he ever came to set was on Miami Sands, and of course it's like a love scene. I mean, when I say love scene, it's I'm like in lingerie. It's still not something your husband wants to see. So after that, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not coming to see you at work anymore." And he's like, "And I also get to go to Vegas." So then when Two and a Half Men came around and, I'm in lingerie every other episode, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to Vegas." And then it's too much.
You might as well buy a house out there.
Right?
Uh, so you get out to LA. How fast was it that you were able to get an agent? Because then there was some trouble with a table read I was hearing about. There was something that happened
Um,
with the table read, but you bounced back. That's the main thing.
I did. Yeah. I kind of just hit a sweet spot in Florida. I got a really good amount of work, so I had tape. So when I came out to LA, it was still a time when, and I call it before Friends, there was still a time when you could be nobody and get a good guest star. So I lucked out. I got an agent pretty much right away. I started working. I got some really good guest stars. So I was able to start establishing myself. But yeah, I booked a part on a show, and I think I had like three or four interviews for it. Like I had callbacks, and then I showed up for the table read, and and I think it was also at Warner Brothers. So table reads are really stressful. You have all the cast, you have all the writers, you have the producers, you have the studio, the network, everyone is there. And I just came in like me. And me is makeup and jeans and not like the character that I was hired for. So I think it had a little to do with it, but I rehearsed the whole entire day, getting laughs, think it's great. And then at the end of the day, when I'm saying, "Oh, I would like to come see at the show," they're like, "You need to call your agent." And they're like, yeah, you're being fired." I was like, "Oh." So, that really like knocked me down for a little bit, and it just kind of like I kind of didn't do very well on auditions for a while because, you know, I kind of never really thought about what anybody thought about me. I just did my thing, and then I was like, what happened?
Mm.
But yeah, then it got back to mostly after I had kids. I'm back to I don't really care what anybody thinks.
That it was at the point to where you kind of didn't care. You're gonna sell it to them how they wanted it, and if they like it, there was kind of like this
Well, it's
method that
just
you came up to. You're
if
gonna
you're
if you buy
buying what
it.
I'm selling,
Mhm.
I'm going to make my choice. I'm going to honor the script. I have the highest regard for writers. So whatever your intention is and what you want, I'm going to give you my take on what I think you want. But what I mean is not caring is I don't have any control. After I have done my part and given my audition or my performance, I don't have any control over that anymore. So that's the part where I don't care about that anymore because it's done. It doesn't matter anymore. I mean, it matters, but it is out of my hands.
Yeah. And that's how you have to look at it. And why did you have there was this message that you put in your one of your trailers for these films. It's not about you. So what was the
Oh,
reason for that?
wow. So that was in my Two and a Half Men trailer
Mhm.
when I was back starting Chelsea. So at church one weekend, it was just a really great message, and the pastor was just talking about it's not about you. It's about Jesus. It's about him. It's not about you. And it just really struck me because when you start like working on that show, it had a lot of attention and it was a whole new thing. And it's almost like a trap for, people are giving you a lot of attention. So I took a picture of a cross and then I wrote, "It's not about you." And I kept it on my mirror just to just keep it in perspective. Like it's not about me.
Mm.
So, yeah, and then another friend, a girl, she worked on it and she saw that. She's like, "Wait, are you Christian?" "Yeah, I am." But yeah, that's what "It's not about me" is for.
Okay, yeah. So, and there's been a lot of times where you use prayer to get your roles, Two and a Half Men. So it's worked for you. But growing up, you were Catholic. So, what kind of made you fall? Because I'm Catholic as well. I'm not fully all aboard because I do agree with you when me doing my research on you that it's too much authority and you have to listen and all that. So, when did you kind of fall off with that?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I mean, I would like to say yes, there is a lot of authority. I think it's more of the politics of it
Mhm.
that turned me off. But also I didn't know a lot. I'd never read the Bible. I didn't know anything. I just knew a lot of experiences that I had had with people who said that they were Christian wasn't positive, and it was sometimes hypocritical. Um, and I also have an aversion to authority. But the flip side is after I did really come to Christ, I'm now under his authority. So it's different. I have friends who are very devout Catholics and they love it and I'm so happy for them. I happen to find more non-denominational church that it feels like home to me. But when I'm on the road, like I try all different churches. I
Okay.
love to see how other people worship. It's really cool.
Now, this is all within the Christian religion that you go to for different churches, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
especially like when if I'm on the road, I mean, I've been to like a synagogue for,
Mhm.
like friends like their bat mitzvahs and stuff.
Okay.
But no, it's all Christian. I'm still aligning with my faith, but
Yeah.
there's so many different, so this church has hymns and this has like a rock band.
Mhm.
And yes.
It's different. Yeah,
hmm
that's the main thing, seeing how other people worship and celebrate. And it's a great thing because it's important to have belief and to believe in God as you. It is important. And that's great that you were able to lean into that to get these roles because Two and a Half Men was something because you were in the pilot. You played two other characters besides Chelsea. And then once you got that role, it
Great.
was, yeah. Oh, you got three besides Chelsea. Wow. Well, because
Yeah.
that's including the pilot. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so you got
Yeah,
three.
no, the Chelsea character, I mean, that was look, I don't use God as a genie, like, hey, I need to pray for something coming up, but that particular role was literally an answer to prayer.
Mhm.
We kind of had a bad mortgage. I wasn't working a lot. Like it's expensive in LA. So we were gonna move back to Florida. I was pregnant with my second child. I didn't know what was gonna happen. And then I literally prayed for that part and I was very specific. I wanted to do a sitcom and I wanted her to be a strong, smart woman. And that saved us from leaving.
Mhm. I like the episode too when Charlie's character, yeah, Charlie Sheen, brings you into the house and he hates that the candies are on the table there.
Oh wow. I think that was my third character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's you got some funny up, especially the engagement episode and the mother comes over.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're so good. The writing on that show and like all that cast, they're just amazing.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment, favorite episode, the memory from being
I
there?
really like the sick episode.
The
I
sick.
like when I was sick and then Charlie has to take care of me.
Okay, I
That was a
remember
lot
that
of
one. And there was because there were so many things going on with that set too when the show went on hiatus. So when did you have to really find out that things were kind of going hectic? Because you had to figure out if you were going to be back. What kind of happened at that point?
Yeah, it was it was I think I had so much going on in my life when I started that. My son was 5, my daughter was 4 months old when I started playing Chelsea. I was finishing my bachelor's. There was a lot going on, so I kind of had like tunnel vision. So I didn't see a lot of the things that were going on. That in hindsight, I was like, oh, that's what was really happening. So I was so grateful to be on that set. Like every moment that I was there was a gift. And I remember towards the end, like Charlie, I mean, it's not a secret. He wanted out. He was like done, and I was sad because it looked like my character wasn't going to be coming back. And he's like, girl, just get that helicopter rope and get out. And I didn't see it that way. Um, so yeah, I mean, now, gosh, how many years back is it now?
Oh,
It's been a
it's been a
while.
while.
It has. So I still look back on everything really fondly. I know that I thought that I still had an option to come back for that third season, and then it didn't happen. And right around then, that's when everything really kind of blew up between Chuck and Charlie.
Mhm.
So, of course, I was upset. I loved being there, But hold on,
Oh,
see if I can turn that off. I don't know how to. Okay.
oh, yeah.
I mean, literally, my home phone is for telemarketers, so nobody is going to need anything. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, but I was really happy actually not to come back because that's when like Charlie really took a nosedive and I didn't need front row tickets to see that show. Like I loved working with him. So I'm glad I didn't have to see that.
Especially then they brought Ashton Kutcher in after that, and
Yeah. I
it,
worked with him a couple of times because I think I did two more episodes. I think I did.
guest appearances and things like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad that he came on and was able to give two more, I think two more seasons for everybody on that show. Like, yeah, the actors, they can move on, but all of those that crew, they were with them for how many seasons? uh, it could have ended just completely gone, and then everybody would be out of work. So Ashton coming on and continuing that really helped everybody.
And it's great, especially that they got to continue. And but Charlie was missed. I know that once when
Oh,
he
he is.
left, it,
Look,
you felt it.
every time it became a different show, and
It
that's
did.
what everybody who they'll come up to me like, it just wasn't the same after Charlie. I'm like, well, no, it was a different show. It just had the same name.
Exactly. Yeah, and there was a lot of things going on because he treated you very well when he was on the set.
Yeah.
You had a great friendship there, and there's a lot of misconceptions about him. I think people go too much in his personal life to where they try to bring him down at times. And but he was someone that was always on the ball there.
Look, he never missed a line, a word. And he just, I mean, he doing comedy isn't easy.
Mhm.
I know it comes more naturally to some people, and it obviously comes really naturally to him. Like he's an exceptional actor. But what he did, also knowing what was going on in his personal life, is amazing. But yeah, like I don't know how he was with everybody else. I know that he was always kind and respectful to me. We got along, so I don't I don't really care what anybody does in their personal
Yeah.
life. It's not my business.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's crazy how everyone was trying to just, and they still may try to go at him. It's just less, but it's always what happens when you're in the spotlight that deep. After Two and a Half Men, did you kind of stay in touch with Chuck at all? Was there anything as far as the writers go?
Um, what did I do? Well, I did an episode of Mom.
Hmm.
So after that I worked on Mom with Chuck, and then just more recently I did uh the the pilot episode of Bookie. Uh so that was really, really amazing because not only did I get to reunite with Chuck, but on the table read, I also got to be there talking with Charlie. And then when Chuck Lorre came in the room, and I know that Charlie was a little like they hadn't been in the same room since the blow up. They had talked on
Wow.
the phone, to kind of reunite. So being able to see Chuck and Charlie heal that, hug and, talk to each other, that was just the best.
Wow. I didn't even know that you saw the reunion. Yeah, that's
Yeah, because
yeah.
I was there for the first. Charlie and I were in that same episode, but we shot on different days. But we got to be. I was there for the table read.
That's amazing. Yeah, that
Yeah,
really
it was
is.
great.
Yeah, especially with all the bad blood. I remember when that blow up happened between the two of them. It was vicious. I remember the sound bites you would hear on the news and things like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now the water's under that bridge, so
I
that's a
know.
yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It really is. And hopefully there's some more creative projects between everyone down the line. Maybe you never know. You could see something happen, hopefully. But after Two and a Half Men, what was that next big thing for you? Because I know you've done other movies that we're going to get into. But what was that first thing after that? Because that was such a big point to where you kept it going.
You know what? I don't know. I know that for a little bit after there, I had a little shuffling with agents and managers and stuff. And so and then I picked the wrong one.
Oh
I picked
boy.
what everybody thought I should and didn't go with my gut. So it was just also another lesson, like just listen to your gut. And yeah. So I feel like it was kind of a little bit of a slow start after that.
Okay. Yeah, but you did pick yourself back up. We're gonna get into the
Oh,
to the indie route too, but there
yeah.
was something as far as roles go too, because you're someone with reading Harry Potter, me doing my research on you, the characters stay with you, and you can't
Oh,
read certain material. So, are you
well,
still
yeah,
like
no,
that with certain roles?
oh, yeah, that's the thing. The things that I like to watch and the thing that I like to act in sometimes don't coincide.
Okay.
Um, you know, as an actor, you want like really great roles, but I don't know. It's hard. Like I don't like horror. I don't
Okay. Oh,
I
you
don't
just staked
watch.
me. I like horror.
Look, I know a lot of people who like horror. I have a friend that I've worked with, and he's got this horror movie that he's working to get going, and like and I he's like, I know you don't like horror. I'm like, I know, but then he showed me the pitch deck, and I was like, oh, I think I want to read it. And I'm like, oh, it's really good. And but then I go back and forth because then you have to be there on the set. Like I did a zombie movie, and I hated being on sets. The makeup and special effects department were amazing, but I'm literally like having like anxiety at lunch because there's a zombie next to me. So, yeah, I want to do happy things. I
Mhm.
want,
I don't know if we could speak on it, but I was reading something about an upcoming thriller that you're a part of. I don't know if you could speak on that.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say or
Hmm.
not say, but I do have a thriller coming out. And that was one of the ones I filmed in Rhode Island, and great group of people. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, I like doing thrillers. So there's a fine line between a thriller and horror.
There is.
It's not that fine. Um,
Yeah. It's in the same field, but not on the same type of grass.
yeah, I like the suspense. I'm not a fan of gore.
Hmm.
Like for gore's sake. I'm not saying that you can't have it, but
I think it's too much in horror movies. So I'm trying to think of an example to where I think
I'm
Silence of
sure
the
I
Lambs
haven't
is like
seen it.
a
Oh,
thriller.
Silence of the Lambs. That's yeah, yeah, I've seen Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's more on the lines of thriller horror to where it's not too much gore.
Yeah,
Hmm.
gore is what I don't like.
Hmm.
I don't like
Like
gore.
Terrify. I don't know if you've heard of Terrifier with the clown or whatever. It's like
No.
it's a gore fest, or even some of the Saw films, total gore fest. Yeah.
Oh, I've never saw any of those.
Yeah.
No.
That's more horror. That's more, but I prefer more things like Psycho and Silence of the Lambs that are more tame because it's more classy to me.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that like I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I get what you're saying. So with all these roles, but you do a lot of work with independent. So when did you find out that you had this passion for writing? Because this will go into Unfaithful, and this is something that came with the New Testament.
Yeah, I always wrote poems. So since I was a kid. So what is it, 2020 when there was lockdowns, I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? I got nothing to do. I'm gonna take my poems, I'm gonna put in a book and I'm gonna publish a book. And then like a few years before that, I saw this message at church about Gomer and Hosea from the Old Testament, and I was like, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna write a script. I'm gonna write a part for me. And so then I that was my first screenplay. And and then I kind of know my strengths and I've learned my weaknesses. And so taking what I had and making it, I was able to do a short with people that I loved and trusted. And then when it came time to go for the screenplay, well, you have to get financing and you need to ask people for money. And I'm not good at that. So that kind of went to the side. So now I'm like, all right, I'm writing different things, and then I know I'm going to have to partner with people who are good at things that I'm not good at.
You could have picked up the skill from when you were a Catholic. When you go to church, they always get the hand basket out for you to put money in.
Oh, yeah. And it also nowadays everything is also social media.
Hmm.
So, people can get a lot of traction like posting things and, and fundraising. Well, these are two things asking for money. And I'm also a very private person.
Hmm.
I don't want to post things all the time. I just don't want to. And like my kids get on me all the time. They're like, Mom, you have to stop posting the dog on your Instagram. You have to stop posting you doing construction. No one wants that. So I'm like, I don't care. I'm just, I'm like, when I want to do it, I will do it.
Mm.
One thing is, it'll always be me and it'll always be honest.
And that's how we need it. We need honesty and to show who you really are, because there's a lot of superficialness with people putting on an act and how many likes this person has, even though it's manipulated and people buy likes. We know all that, but certain things too, because you don't like horror. But did you get around to building this bat house I was learning about? Did you build this bat? You like
Okay,
bats?
that's so funny. I didn't build it. I got the plans. I wanted to build a bat house
Hmm.
because bats are good. They eat a lot of mosquitoes and bugs. And my husband's like, "You're crazy." But he bought me for Christmas a bat house. So, but I want to make it.
Hmm.
We put it up, the bats didn't come. And then we built a chicken coop. So I have chickens now, bats, chickens. I like to build things.
Hmm.
What it is, I've decided is the same joy that I get out of acting and being creative and collaborating. I get the same joy out of building a chicken coop or a bat house or a bookshelf or writing a script. It's all the same.
Yeah, it is. It's your creative side, and with Unfaithful too, because I think it really had a strong message, and I think it could really be taught for a lot of couples now that are because now you're married, so you don't have to go through all the nonsense what's going on right now in society. It's I don't know if you've seen it, but it's bad.
What do you mean? Like, what am I
Oh,
missing?
well, it's a lot of just it's a basically hookup culture.
Oh, oh
There's no
God, yeah.
relationships anymore. There's no, it's all open relations. It's crazy.
Well, I believe that is probably true for a lot of people, and it was
Mhm.
probably that way for a while. But I guess because like my son's getting married in October.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
Thank you. And
Mhm.
he's 21. He's young.
Wow.
And I know like he has tons of friends that are all getting married. So I think there's also something with this next generation coming up. They've seen so much of that and how empty it is, and they want something more.
Mhm.
So I have hope that is changing.
I hope so. It's toxic now. And I think that Unfaithful, it really speaks to what has been going on.
Well, but also what it is so I think also because it's an unfaithful wife, which I think is a lot different
Then
than,
couples.
your boyfriend
Hmm.
being unfaithful
Hmm.
or even the husband. It's a really hard thing for people to realize. It's just such a deep betrayal. But what the whole message is and in the book of Hosea is that we are all broken, we are all sinners, we are all unfaithful, but he pursues us and loves us anyway. So that was like the main message. It was just kind of in the skin of an unfaithful wife.
Okay. Was this ever, did you kind of take inspiration? I know there was this Richard Gere movie back in the day, and we found out what happened there.
Oh, um, yeah, no, it literally was what I did is because I went to this thing at church and it was a woman's thing, and she was I first it was the first time I heard the story. And she said, we're all Gomer. Gomer was the woman who was unfaithful. And it just really struck me. So when I sat down to write it, I read the book of Hosea, went over and over, and I'm like, okay, what would this look like if I did this? What would this look like in a modern setup? And it was a little hard to write because I'm like trying to imagine like how my husband would feel. Um, so yeah, but the funny thing is after I did start kind of shopping it around and deciding what I was going to do with it, I then abandoned that project because what I found is that people, when you write from, what you know, they were assuming this was my story. And and it wasn't. Not to say that I have never been tempted, everybody has been. But I was like, I don't, is this what I really want to put out? And I decided that it wasn't. Now, somebody else, it has this story and I'm going to act in it and be it excellent. But there's something of it like in every job that I do now, I have to think of my family because it's going to live on forever.
Mhm.
And having my name on something like that, I don't want there ever to be an inkling in their head where they thought, well, did mommy do this? She wrote this. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're good. I got lots of ideas.
No, I get your sentiment there, and just wanting to have a clear name and not have anyone be thinking that this was from you personally, and that's definitely important, especially when taking inspiration from your church. You also teach Sunday school, so what's some of the things that you can? Is there anything you can kind of tell us about what it is you teach there?
Well, I do the kids like first through fifth grade. So
Okay.
it's not me teaching them. There's a program that they use. So I'm just like the host and the storyteller. And so, they have their own worship and their own songs. And then I tell them, like there's always a theme and a verse of the month. And so we go over that. And, I just love, obviously because I'm teaching them the gospel, but because kids are just so funny and they're just so honest and brutally honest. Like they'll talk up all the time and answer the questions that you didn't even ask. And it's just a nice way to serve.
Absolutely. And I commend you for that. That's definitely it's something that a lot of people don't go out there and speak about. And that's a lot of things that you do in your personal time as well, because people only want to hear about what you do in front of the camera as far as your film work goes. So I think that's important to share that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I don't have a carefully crafted persona. And like, we're going to talk about this. If you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
what I want. It's funny. My daughter, she said the other day, so we went to the store and somebody recognized me. And I was wearing, like I put makeup on for you a little
Oh,
bit.
I
But I was
appreciate it.
wearing, a big hoodie, and she says I look like a homeless person, and this person actually recognized me, had a conversation, and then she just stops and she looks at me and she's like, I really feel bad for the people who recognize you. I was like, well, I said I do too. I said because they just have to be so disappointed.
That's
What you see is
crazy that
what
they
you
were able to
get.
recognize you still with kind of being incognito and not all dressed up.
Well, it's not incognito, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
I don't I can't I can't have that pressure of having to always look a certain way when I leave the house.
Mhm.
I just I this is what you get. You want to see me dressed up? Put on one of my movies. I will definitely have nicer clothes on and makeup.
Oh man, it's still getting the grocery store stories insane. Yeah. After all the, especially with the reruns of everything too, because
Yeah.
you still get the reruns from the Lifetime movies, you get the reruns from Two and a Half Men, so
Mhm.
everyone's still gonna see you.
Well, they do, and I think now it happens more because there's more things are on streaming now. But
Mhm.
it used to be your movie stars, you go to a theater and you see them. But if you're on the TV, it's people don't always place that you're from TV. They think they know you from their life because you're in their bedroom, you're in their living room, and it's so you they just look familiar to you. So after I realized that, I was like, oh, because I'm thinking like, what? How does anybody know how
It's
I'm in
crazy.
their bedroom?
But you were able to do Saved by Grace. That's another one. And this another one of the prayers that came about because you were able to play an angel in that show.
Yeah, I wanted to start doing more. I just it seemed like everything out there being shown was just really dark. Everything is just really dark, and I don't want to put that out. I'm not saying that I'm never going to do a secular movie or TV show that is murder. Like, I'm not saying that. But if I got to pick, if I got to do it, that's why I was praying. I'm like, please let me get more things that are positive and helpful and and faith-based because I think people need it. And yeah, so I got to do Saved by Grace, which was amazing. I literally got to play an angel, which was really fun. Yeah, it was a great experience. So we did one season and then we didn't get picked up, so it's all right.
But, but you still
Life
had an
goes.
impact on there. That's the main thing. And you also did this movie too. It was more of a church story because I remember about the church being burned down. You did that
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
it was God's Not Dead 3, A Light in
Light and
Darkness.
Darkness. That's the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that and that was yeah, that was a second faith-based movie I did.
Mhm.
Uh yeah, they were again all answers to prayer.
Wow. And that's see, this is what prayer can do. Prayer changes. It really can.
It does. It does. It can change your circumstances, but I think more, at least for me, more importantly, it changes me.
Mm.
When I pray, it changes what I want, you
That's
know.
important.
Mhm.
It definitely. And then you have Twisted Twin. All
Oh,
these.
that was so
Yeah.
fun.
Did you get the chance to watch it yet? Because you're someone that's not. You really don't go back and watch your work. I learned.
No, and that's so funny. That's one that I need to get. I haven't watched that one
Oh.
yet. Um yes, I need to. I'm bad, but and like I know my manager's like you got to get these so that you can, we can update your reel and just practical stuff. I should make a point of that. But for me, when I'm there, when I'm doing it, when I'm on set, that's like to me that's the best. And then when it's done, it's great,
Mhm.
but I've already lived it. I've already done it. I don't necessarily need to see it again.
I get it, and especially because you got so much other stuff going on too. You got your kids to take care of. You have life outside of there, especially with being involved with the church. So you're not always gonna have time for that. Especially too, you got another one there in bed with a killer. That's another one. That
Oh
one, oh
yeah, that
yeah.
was great. That was a fun. I did see that one.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's another one there. Yeah, you like these Lifetime movies. So what's kind of have you thought about setting up kind of your own? I think is there something I was reading that you have your own production company a little bit, like something started?
Well, I did. Like I kind of started one before and then I didn't do anything
Mhm.
with it. Mostly because I'm so used to being on this side of the camera. But I've been on so many sets. I know what to do. I know how to make a movie. But as far as the day-to-day things, I need to learn how to do that. So right now, I'm working with my friend Michelle, who is a producer, and she was in distribution with Lightyear Pictures. So she's gonna kind of help me, to get that side going.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her thing, and she's gonna. I basically just need uh, somebody to help me to until I get the confidence to go, oh no, this is what we're doing.
Mhm. Is this going to be more faith-based work that you're doing with your project, or it just depends on whatever
No,
idea
no,
comes
it just
across?
depends. I
Mhm.
mean, I would prefer faith-based, but even if it's just fa more family oriented or just kind of not no, I can't even say
Yeah.
that I don't want to because I still love doing thrillers. It, it depends on what the story is. It
Mhm.
has to just a good story.
Yeah. How about a nice slasher? No, I'm teasing you. I'm teasing.
You know what? As soon as I say never, that's the next thing I'm doing. So I never say
You never
never.
know.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? Maybe I will do a slasher film.
Oh, you never know. But there was something that you said at the beginning of the interview, and I kind of touched on it later, where before it was the kind of with the Friends era before then, to where you could get great guest
Oh,
stars
yeah.
before really being known and things like that. So what's your
Yeah.
view? Because I'm very critical of it. I want people to really be out and open how they feel about it on the show. I don't like people that masquerade how they feel for like PR purposes. But how do you feel about the era we live in now to where I feel as though there's a lot of talented actors that may not be known that aren't getting chances because they're getting passed over for people that have more Instagram followers and those can be bought. So what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that
that's
current
that's
thing?
a whole I mean it's been this so it used to be you could just be I'm a middle class actor,
Mhm.
blue collar actor. You could be that and get a really good guest star role. And then I think Friends happened, and then everybody wanted to get into TV, and then it kind of trickled down. Like if you don't have a really good resume, you're not even getting the audition for a good guest star role. So then it turned to like, your middle class actors are getting a co-star role. And even that was hard. So then there's like this whole time where it's really hard for people to even get agents. Um, so it's hard. On the flip side of that, now that there's so many available places for content, and a lot of places need content, I think there are more opportunities for actors. It's just they're not all network shows
Mhm.
because now there used to be pilot season where you would go out for pilots. Now it's more all year rounds, but you don't have those those big shows. And if they do, they're already cast with like superstars, so it is it's but it's not an easy business.
No.
When you go into it, you know it's not going to be easy. So while some areas have opened up and there's more for actors, there's other areas where it's closed and it's really hard to get into that. It's a mixed bag.
It is. It really is. And this is acting's your sport, but are you kind of into sports? And because I do a lot of hip hop and sports on my show, are you into sports or even music, if not hip hop?
Sports is as far as like watching
Hmm.
sports now. No,
No.
now, my house, my family, yes,
Yeah.
they love sports, football and basketball. I started watching F1.
Okay.
I like watching F1 racing, but there's only a certain amount of hours in the day.
Exactly.
And I have other things. I used to watch a lot more sports than I do, but now I've got sourdough bread to make. I have a chicken coop to clean. Yeah, and music, I love music. My music tends to be a little eclectic
Okay.
on what I listen to. And I'll also listen to the same thing over and over again. Like I still have, oh, I don't have it right here. I still use an iPod
Okay.
for,
Is this the original one that you still have the
yes.
original one? Oh,
Well, I
wow.
think it's second generation.
Okay.
Um, but that's when I go to the gym, I use my iPod with my wire.
You got it. That's what you got to do when you go to the gym. You got to plug in to the music for
Yep.
sure. Well, what do you have on the way that you can speak about? Because I mentioned the thriller that you have. You don't know if you could speak, but is there anything that you can speak on?
I don't know. I have 4 movies coming out that should be coming out this year. And I don't know what I think I'll be able to say one. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but it's
Mhm.
another faith-based film called Reason to Believe. And that's one that I filmed in Indianapolis. And that one was really great. The producer reached out to my manager because he grew up in my hometown and he was an engineer and they had this story with him and his wife, but he had never done a movie before, ever. And so my manager forwarded to me. He's like, I don't know about this. He's never done anything. And I read the script. I was like, I really like it. And it was based on like their true story. And I said, everybody has to start somewhere. And I'm glad I got on board. It was a great experience. And so I think that's going to be being released soon. The thriller, I don't even know if the name of it is the same.
Oh, it could have changed.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's why I don't want to say it. I
They're
also
changing.
did a Christmas movie with them, which I assume will be coming out by December. And then I did a really sweet family horse movie
Okay.
that'll be coming out. But again, like I would
Things could
love to tell
change.
you these, and then we're negotiating another movie right now to work on, but nothing is signed. I'm very excited to do this movie, but I'm sorry. I can't give you any details.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll read about it and we'll have to get you back on the show once you're able to promote the film as well.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, that's what like so I don't do a lot of interviews because
Hmm.
I'm just like I don't know what to say. But my manager, he's like, no, people are interested. I said, well then Kurt, you're gonna have to just tell me just to say yes, because my first word is always no.
Well, it's great that I received the yes for you tonight. Uh, but Jennifer, is there anything else you would love to let your audience know that we didn't talk about? Anything else, or even a dream role that you want to play? Anything that we didn't get into tonight?
I would love to say that, yeah. Uh, no, I just thank you
Mhm.
for having me and just even being interested because I tend to like keep moving on. What's the next thing? What's going? And I never appreciate looking back and going, but wait, people like to hear about what happened. So, thank you for you. Like it's like you're documenting this. Like you're capturing things so everybody can see. And thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. And I have to document, especially when you put in a lot of hard work and you're talented. It's important for me to do that and
You
showcase.
put in a lot of hard
Yeah.
work.
I did. Thank you. I definitely did. No, I appreciate it. And I want to thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you to your manager, Kurt. And I also spoke with Michelle as well. She kind of helped get this set
Yes.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, like the way it all came about, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
yes. Like
Yeah, and we got it set up. Thank you to them, and I'm gonna be looking forward to these upcoming films that you have on the way. And they can follow you on Instagram too, Real Jennifer Taylor. Do you have a X or a Blue Sky or Facebook, any of those other platforms?
I don't even know what you just said.
Oh,
Scott. No, I like I said, I'm not very active on Instagram. I'll go through bursts where I'm like, oh, I feel like showing this or I want to do this. And then I'm like, I don't want anybody to know anything. So I'm not that active, but I do have an Instagram. I do not buy likes.
oh, I like that.
I don't buy followers. And if you ever look at it, you'll go, maybe she should. But yeah, I'm always going to share just things that I find are important. May not be interesting, may not be current, but it's me.
Mhm. It's you, and that's what means the most, is that it's authentically you.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Family will tell me.
Uh, well, Jennifer, I had a great time speaking with you. I want you to enjoy the rest of your night. Take care. And like I said, you're always welcome back on the show, especially when these upcoming films are on its way to be out and we could talk about them.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Bye.
Bye bye.